Hello, my name is Alex McDonald, and I'm going live on YouTube to talk with all of you. Just some thoughts that I've been having, and I don't have any notes, and I'm just gonna wing it. A few weeks ago, I was attending a major leadership convention or conference with Life Leadership, and it was absolutely incredible, life changing, amazing. Really enjoyed it. And my mentor, Mr. Bill Lewis, was on stage giving a talk. He was talking about a little bit about Kobe Bryant and when he was playing against the Miami Heat when they had LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. And one of the players on that Heat team kept slapping his hand or slapping his arm after he shot the shot. So it wasn't a foul, but he kept slapping him to try to get in his head. And so the game ends, and LeBron and Dwayne Wade, they're in the locker room. They're getting dressed. They get done with the press conference. And the guy who's supposed to turn off all the lights and lock up the stadium says, "Hey, I don't know what we're going to do." They're like, "What are you talking about?" And he says, "Well, Kobe's still out there shooting. He has his trainer slapping his arm. He's still out there because he wants to figure out how to overcome that. So I don't know how we're going to get him to leave." And LeBron and Dwayne's like, "Oh, that's okay. We'll go to the gym and we'll work out for a while." So they go to the gym for an hour and they're working out. And then they come back to the gym and Kobe is still working on that. His trainer slapping his arm after each shot. And Kobe was so fanatical that he was going to overcome that situation that he was put under, and he was never going to falter under that again. And that was his mindset throughout his whole career. Was if I'm going to be the best, then I got to work harder than everyone. LeBron and Dwayne, they were two of the best in the NBA of all time, and they went into the gym for an hour, and Kobe's still working, and that's how he became one of the best. And so, as Mr. Lewis is giving this talk, I'm thinking about who is somebody that I know that was kind of like that. So in high school, I used to wrestle, and in 2004, my parents and we moved to Phoenix, Arizona. We went to be with my grandfather, who was undergoing some serious medical complications, and my mom had the mindset that we were going to go be with him in his last year and spend time with him. And honestly, as a teenager, I was really upset about it because I was leaving the world that I knew, the world that I had created around me, and I didn't really appreciate that time. And I wish I would have been more grateful and less of a teenager, less moody and defensive, not defensive, but combative. And so I wrestled in Indiana, and my team, we weren't really known for being that good. We had a few people that go to state, but nobody ever won state. And we're a 2A school, which means from 1A to 5A, 2A is one of the smaller ones. So I get to Phoenix, and my grandma lives in this neighborhood called Maryville. So I go to Maryville High School. There's 5,000 people from 9 through 12, and I don't know a single one of them. And so I hear about the wrestling team starting up. So I go to the wrestling team practice, and I find out that they're one of the best in the state at 5A. The year before, they had two state champions. They had a bunch of people placed in the top five, and they got fifth in state. And one of the wrestlers was Angel Cejudo. He was a year ahead of me, and he won two state championships. And he was slated as the number one wrestler in the state. He was going to be a three-time state champion. And he had this little brother named Henry Cejudo. And Henry was a phenom, like a freak of nature, basically. He was about 5'4". He had the ears of a wrestler. He had this really ordinary smile. He was just an amazing guy who became one of my best friends. But the way that Henry was like Kobe Bryant. And so we'd go to wrestling practice, and we would get done with wrestling practice. He'd go to the gym. We'd have a wrestling meet where we wrestled 2, 3, 4 matches, and he'd leave that meet and he would go to the gym. And I tried that with him one time. I wrestled a couple matches. We went to the gym. My arms are so tired that I couldn't lift weights anymore. I was like dying in the gym, and he's still going hard. And I remember before the season started, he would go to the gym in the morning before school, and then he would go to the gym after school. And he was working harder than everybody that I could even think of, everybody that I could even imagine. And so Henry just had this amazing work ethic. It didn't matter if he was tired, if he was sick, he still went to the gym. And so as a sophomore, Henry Cejudo was invited to be a part of Team Mexico for their U.S. Olympic team, and they wanted him to wrestle for them. because apparently his parents conceived him in Mexico, then they migrated to the United States, and he was born in America. And so by some bylaws, because he had Mexican heritage, he could wrestle for him. But he said his sophomore year, he said, "No, I'm not going to wrestle for them because I am an American and I'm going to represent America in the Olympics." And so we fast forward, he won state his freshman year and his sophomore year in Arizona. And then he moved to Colorado to live at the Olympic Training Center as a junior. And he won state in Colorado as a junior and a senior. And the craziest part is, if we rewind just a little bit, like his brother Angel was a really amazing wrestler, and he had 6 other siblings that were older than him. He was the youngest. They lived in a little house. They all had to share a room. And I think he was in 7th grade when he started wrestling, because his brother started doing really well. And he's like, I guess I'll go out for that. So most kids, they start wrestling 4, 5, 6 years old. He got started really late in 7th grade, and he was just like naturally good at it because he had this basically like a killer instinct. He was just aggressive, and he was just determined. And I remember in practice, we would do like head slaps for practice, and he would beat my ears, he would beat my head so hard, and it would frustrate me so much. But because he put himself in the environment of living at the Olympic Training Center, he was able to be around other people of that great caliber. He was actually the training partner for Sarah McMahon, who got, I think, silver medal in the Olympic wrestling for women. And so he's training with the best. He's working harder than everybody. And what happens? 2008, he goes and wins an Olympic gold medal. And you can look up his picture, 2008 Olympic, Henry Cejudo, and he's wrapping that American flag around him. And I remember getting that newspaper and seeing that picture and just crying, like, I knew he was going to do it. He said he was going to do it. And so the success principle we can take from Henry Cejudo is, number one, work harder than anybody else is. If you want to be extraordinary, you got to put that little extra in there. Henry was going to the gym morning and night. He was going to the gym after practice. He was going to the gym after meets. When all the other wrestlers, they were icing their arms, they were icing their legs, they were going to the hot tub, they were going home and sitting on the couch and not doing the extra. And Henry proved that he was the best by going out and working harder. And so I'm looking at his bio on the internet, and he's now in the MMA. He's a part of the Ultimate Fighter, like the UFC, and he was one of the coaches on the television show. And he also held the belt for the I think bantamweight. He's 135 pounds, and he's only lost 2 fights, and he has an upcoming fight coming up on 5/9, so May 9th. He'll be fighting Jose Aldo, and Jose is more of a striker. And it says that Jose is 28-6, and Henry is, let the page load, 15-2. And so that'll be on pay-per-view on UFC, the bantamweight weight class, and it should be really good. If you don't know who Henry Cejudo is, then you can tune into UFC. You can look up some old clips of him wrestling. But he was a friend of mine when I lived in Phoenix. Complete inspiration. He's like, I would say he's the Kobe Bryant of wrestling and MMA, because, like I said, he works harder than everybody. And so if there's something that you want to be successful at, if there's something that you are passionate about, which I know each and every person has a passion, and maybe you just need to draw it out of you. Maybe you don't even believe in yourself. Well, I got to tell you, you should believe in yourself, because if you work harder than the competition, you're going to be head and shoulders above the rest. Most people, they're not moving forward. Most people, they're not reading books. They're not listening to things. They're not getting mentors. They're not dreaming. They're not working at it. They're moving backwards rather than forwards. And so if you just do a little bit extra, you'll set yourself so far ahead if you compound that over time. So be like Kobe Bryant, be like Henry Cejudo, but most of all, be like you. Be the best version of yourself by learning, growing, working, and achieving. I definitely believe in you, and I love you. I'll see you at the top. So I'll see you real soon.